everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining our virtual teamwork webinar for the Skills Gap Conversations. As usual, for the introduction, I'm going to give you a quick introduction of myself, our wonderful speaker, Dr. Eunice Sari, a little bit of an agenda, and then we'll kick off with the conversation. So we have 30 minutes of lunch and learn if you're joining in Sydney. And so welcome again. It's so nice to see a lot of familiar names also in the box. So in terms of who I am, for those that are joining in probably for the first time, my name is Natasha Munasinghe. I'm the CEO of a company called Frank.aio, and we're an education and training organization. And our mission really is to prepare graduates for the future of work, employability, what that's going to look like with so much change going around us. And we really want to focus on soft skill development, which is why we're looking at virtual teamwork today. We have a wonderful person that we're going to hear from in terms of her expertise, Dr. Eunice Sari. She's the CEO of UX Indonesia, as well as a co-founder of Experience Inside Australia. She has tons of experience in academia and industry around digital transformation, customer experience. She's really a pioneer in that field. And she was also, in terms of Google, recognized as the first female Google mentor in product design and strategy. So we're going to really dig into her expertise today. In terms of the agenda, we're going to focus on virtual teamwork in this COVID world. So much of this, including this webinar, is now virtual, and a lot of our world of, actual working and jobs has a lot of element of this sort of virtual working. So we want to know, how do you build really great work relationships? What are some communication tips, do's and don'ts, and also really general best practices. I want to say, in terms of a focus, we're really focusing this webinar on graduates and students and those getting into the workforce. So that's kind of the audience. And of course, people who work with graduates and students, of course, are welcome too. There's a little bit of an extra today, and I want to just give you a heads up. If some universities, and it might be worthwhile if you're coming from a university in Australia, to let us know by emailing events@frankteam.com.au to let us know you attended, because we can send you a certificate of attendance, and some universities are giving you recognition or attendance points for attending webinars like this. So if you want to if you're in a leadership program or an employability program, the fact that you're here, that you've given your time, can actually also get you some recognition from it. So let us know and email us on that email address. I know your master's on Zoom, but the main thing here is it's a conversation. I'm going to take my slideshow down in a moment, and Eunice and I are going to have a chat. I have a couple of questions for her. What I would love, though, is for you to come up with questions and really dig into her brain. So put your questions on chat if you can, and also put yourself on video if you want. If you're munching away on lunch, then don't worry about it. And finally, we're just recording it so we can share with everybody, including on LinkedIn, and I just want to give you a heads up on that. All right, so that's my spiel, Eunice. So let's kick on. So we're talking about virtual teamwork in the model world. What's your experience working virtually? Because you have a team of people across different locations, right? Tell us a little bit about what that world looks like.
Yeah, okay. My company is one in Australia and another one in Indonesia. So it has become like our work, like we do everything online since COVID-19. And so when I asked my team, what do you mean by virtual, right? So they basically said that everything that we can do on Zoom, we kind of staring in front of computer all the time, and then but we can do whatever we want. So we just close the camera and we can do it. But it is something that actually not just that, because there are a lot of things that actually we have to think when thinking online. So for example, with Zoom here, we really need to understand when we have a meeting every day, we need to make sure that everybody open their camera. Why is that? Because we want to see genuinity people when you talk to you, because I know that it is just it's your camera, but then you really need to show that you really care, you really listen attentively what other people say. And then also another thing is that, of course, you can choose whenever you want to achieve your work, especially with virtual teamwork. Basically, we know what we are required to do, and and then after that, we got a deadline what to do. So you basically can do whenever you want. But then it is about like having accountability, right? Like your work, you will still be able to keep your work if you are able to give the outcome, right? Like that's how I see like how my staff and my freelancer, how people like if they are just like
You're saying so many good things, so I want to make sure I get the
okay.
summary right. So in terms of your team, I love the tip around being able to show yourself on screen at a meeting so everyone sees each other.
Yeah,
That's a really great tip. I think accountability, that the point that we're all doing work, even if we don't see each other, we still need to know. We each need to know that the other person is doing the work. So that point around accountability
yeah,
with your team, just so we can get an idea of it in our heads. You have team members in Perth, you have team members in Indonesia, but you also have team members in Southeast Asia, right? Like that's your team, that's your tribe.
yeah.
Okay,
Yes, that's
perfect.
right. Yeah.
Awesome.
So we have like a core team in Indonesia, and we with the core team we have people who are like working full time, part time, permanent. But we also have some freelancer who join us, like vendors or as the well, it's because they have other jobs, so they join us like they work on other time. And we also have a lot of people working. They are from Australia. They are intern. They are like an expert. They're joining us from everywhere. But it
And
is,
you're saying 80% of your staff are really young graduates, right?
yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, many of them, like we also got some staff who are in high school as well. So
Okay.
when I hire, like I don't see like what is your background, what is your credibility, what is it, your education background, but we do such a thorough screening. So whoever can come and then can contribute, we accept them as our team. So it's
Okay.
very different than what we had like in the past, especially in traditional environment.
And so I know this is going to be a big, broad question, but I'll ask the broad questions before I start narrowing down.
Yeah.
Um, if you could really sort of choose top, 2 to 3 best practices when you're working with teams who are virtual or people who are working, in virtual settings, and from the things you've seen in your own experience, what are the top 2 to 3 things that we all probably should need to get right?
Mm. Yeah, I think the first one is communication, because that's the only vehicle for you to be able to communicate. Uh, if you cannot communicate properly by your voice, then you are at least required to speak properly with writing, like in written conversation. So
Mhm.
other than that, it is very difficult, like because our works that we got a lot of works and it is very quick and very fast, and yeah, we need to at least meet this requirement in order for us to work properly. And then I think the other one is like we need to think about the well-being of the staff,
Mhm.
um, because people would feel like a lot of people like, so this is like a two extreme. One people once on one side, people think, oh, nobody is looking at us, so I can do whatever I want, so I can sleep, I can wear my pajama, I don't need to wear what is it, I don't need to be formal, and then I can do whatever I want. But on the other hand, right, because like in Indonesia, for example, if you look at the hostel, this is people like a lot of people feel guilty if they don't do work, right? So that's kind of feeling, okay, well, they want to look that they have to work all the time. So I always say, don't work long time, but work smart, right? Like when you work smart, then you don't have to work until like 12 o'clock or anything like that. Because the problem is right now with the virtual work, or virtual teamwork, is that the people trying to use their own time, and they got stressed and they got fed up with just doing zooming and everything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely easy. I mean, the irony that I'm going to say that we all get zoomed out on a Zoom meeting, but we do, right? Is there one tip in terms of well-being that
Yeah.
you share with your staff that you think?
Oh,
try to
Yeah.
drive?
Yeah, well, with my stuff, I think I see my stuff here. Like, yeah, okay.
Oh, okay.
I just see like one of my stuff here, so it's very funny. Yeah. Well, we have actually we are working toward like working 4 days, 4 days a week, and we just do it slowly. We are in the process of like transitioning and doing the research and collecting the data, whether this is appropriate or not. And for example, today is the second Wednesday, and then on the second Wednesday, everybody needs to go on a professional development. So when they do professional development, unless it is something urgent that I have to teach them, they can learn anything. Somebody needs to lead, and then like they can learn anything they want, like a yeah. So that
So
and
the
then when they are doing
whole
yeah,
day or a few
whole day.
hours of the day?
No, from 8 to 5 o'clock. So basically,
Oh, okay, okay. So they get a learning day essentially.
yeah, it's learning day, and they got paid for doing that. And then yeah, so they enjoy it. I mean, like
That's good.
we don't really have time to meet each other, but like even though we're zooming, and then we have lunch together. Sometimes we have game. I don't join in all of the PD, but everyone loves the PD day.
I love it.
And
I love
yeah,
learning, so I would probably take that up all the time.
and then the second thing, like the third Wednesday of the month, we started to have a me time.
Okay.
So me time, everyone cannot work. Yeah, so everyone
Oh,
has to
well,
go
good for
on
you.
holiday.
That's great.
Yeah, so that's I think at least for the term of well-being, that's something that we want to like educate people for doing that, and let's see how things work. I mean, like unless they are in the field, then it is very difficult. But if they are back in their hometown and then in their own home, then they can still do it. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I'm gonna keep going with the questions I have. To those that are joining in the audience, if you have questions that pop up, please pop them onto the chat. So when people are coming together, Eunice, for the first time to work virtually, so they're probably getting together, let's say at the beginning of a project. What are some things you really think, or what you've seen from your experience, really work when a team is coming together for the first time that sets them up for success?
Oh, yes. So yeah, this is a really good question. Um, my team in the beginning, we had a lot of communication problems because it's not that they could not talk, but it is like sometimes like when you ask something, or when you have an opinion, client have an opinion, have a brief of what to do. Sometimes we interpret differently because we don't see the big picture, right? So for any project before we start, we spend like a good time, like a couple of hours, just sit down, read properly, and then like making sure what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Everybody is going to be part of these participatory activities, and trying to understand what it is, right? And then after that, we decided like who is going to be part of this teamwork. And because we've always, like as I said before, like everyone can change their role, like if they need, for example, this time they become a researcher, next time they become a somewhat something else, as long as it is within their skills.
So
And
they can choose the role they want to play within the team, the
yes.
task, the types of tasks they want to do. Okay.
Yes. So usually, yes, they can propose if they want to be part of the role, because our group is not big. But usually, like people just I want to do just what I think I'm comfortable with, and the things that I used to do, because a lot of them like are looking for experience, so they
Mhm.
doing the repeated similar activities will bring them like a more skill set and then confidence to do something. And yeah, so it's not that difficult. So after we know who is doing what, and we decide what is the OKR, like what is the objective of doing this, and what is our objective to meet that objective, right? And then we break down what is the activity. We created a roadmap. What is the the activities we need to do. And then, yeah, so with that activities that we have set up to achieve the goal, then we go and starting to work on the project. And everyone in the team are encouraged to set up their group, and then they decide how they are actually like in practice, like how to achieve the goal. So there's always like a one team member, team leader, and then this team leader will lead the others, and everybody learn from each other. Nobody is like a better than others, because in our organization,
And so,
sorry.
before you move on to the next point, I know you said something really important around OKRs. For those of us that don't know what OKR is, what does it stand for and how do you use it?
OKR stand for objective key result, right? So with this objective key result, you got a big objective you want to achieve, right? Like I want everybody in the company happy, right? When they are using my product. So for me to make sure that we reach this happiness when people adopting, for example, an app, right? How we actually measure that? So the key result, okay, well, people will download this app, and then they are going to download, they are going to use it, and they are not going off, right? Like so that's the, and then they give like us like a good rating. That's the key result, right? And then based on the key result that we have, we break down how do we achieve that key result. So how do we actually like achieve, make sure that when people download, they will keep staying and then not like leaving the app. So that key result, that the activities to achieve the key result that we have, we will break it down into like a daily activities or weekly or monthly that we have to do. Yeah, that's how we do it.
So the OKR is used to really plan out how you're going to achieve it, what the goals are, and then how you're going to achieve your goals, right?
Yes, yes.
And was that developed by Google? Did I read that?
Yes, some people in Google, they developed that, and it has been used by many companies in the world.
Awesome. Thank you. That's an awesome tip. I know you've talked a lot about communication being super important. I know when I was sort of looking at, virtual teamwork myself, I came across this idea of, synchronous and asynchronous communication, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how in a virtual teamwork world, we could use more asynchronous tools. So maybe just give everyone a quick 10-second intro into what asynchronous communication is, and then maybe talk through what are some of the tools you use for communication purposes that are async tools.
Yeah, so sync and async tool, right? Like when we talk about async tool, is like the digital tool that we use when we don't have to get the feedback straight away. So for example, if I use an email, then we use the Google Suite, for example. We do not expect the people to get it straight away, right? So we use a lot of Google Suite products, like how, for example, we use the form, we use the Google Doc, we use Google Slide and everything like that to actually to communicate, to collaborate with other partners and with also with our staff. And then we also use the Slack. Slack is a tool where you can actually like talk within the environment where we consider as a safe environment, because you can actually set up that it is only people with a specific email address can enter the Slack. Of course, like it is not complete safe when you show your computer to other people, right? But this is much safer. And then I link that to Google Drive, and so I know like who is like accessing access certain files, and some people who got the rights, like they can give the access to those people, but no, those people who do not have access, they cannot access. So there are so many tools. For example, we also use Jira to report the progress, and then like to see what you are doing, and then later on it impacted to their performance, for the reviewing their performance, and also like to track the progress of the project that we are doing. So there are a lot of things. Yeah.
Do you use Jira for in terms of sort of project management?
Not really. Like Jira is more on reporting what we are doing. Like so we know what to do. Yeah, we used to use Asana, or we use Trello. But I think like if there are too many tools, then people got confused. Like especially with the nature of the virtual teamwork. Like your team is not fixed. You always like got a new people coming in the team, even though now at the moment we got about 25, sometimes we got 30, we got so always teaching taking so much time. So so just like a fix with a simple tool that everyone can use. Even like I'll just tell you one story.
Simple. Yeah, so simple and not many, so in terms of communication tools, right? That's
Yeah,
key.
yeah, simple and not many. I mean, like it is cool. Like when she, I use this cool Confluence, I use this blah blah blah. I mean, like it sounds cool. I mean, like it feels like you are in the 21st century and like industry 5.0 or whatever it is. But then no, I mean, like I need to go back, and then what is the purpose of using this one, right? Like the main problem is the communication, the coordination. Let's go back to that main goal, and then like try to solve that with any tools, technology just as a supporting tools. I think, yeah.
Perfect. And I know, offline before everyone came on, we were talking about WhatsApp.
Oh yeah.
Your policy around WhatsApp. Maybe share with everyone so they can have a think if they come across that in their workspace.
Oh yeah, WhatsApp. Yeah, WhatsApp is interesting. Yeah, depending on who we work with, we can use WhatsApp when we work with people in Indonesia, in the Philippines, in Taiwan. Then we use WeChat when we work with the team in China. We use what's the other one that I use a lot with Kakao Talk when we talk with the people in Korea. So it basically they are all the synchronous. It's more like a direct message, like a tool. So we have the policy in our company. I mean, like we use WhatsApp. That's fine. We have our community group and then like a team group, but we only use WhatsApp only when we are in urgent situation, right? So if some teams, for example, go to the remote area, there are no internet connection, they need to use the WhatsApp. If like there is some urgent that needs immediate attention, then they need to use the WhatsApp or call, like a WhatsApp call. But then we are not allowing people like to create subgroup and also like to share like a company information through WhatsApp. Even though we know that people would not be able to access to their WhatsApp, but then it is very common that the things like WhatsApp is being misused. For example, when I talk to you, then I screenshot my conversation and then send it to other people, or if I can open a certain document I send to other people, then it is very dangerous, like in terms of information leaking. Yeah, so that's what we want to protect.
So use it for a purpose, for an emergency purpose, but don't blend between when it's probably a social reason versus a business reason. So
Exactly. Yeah.
I know we're coming fast to the end of it. So for those that have questions, please prop it on the chat because I'll stop talking and listening to you. But I want to ask you a question around how you have difficult conversations and give feedback to virtual team members. Now, as I ask this, I'm gonna, if I open up CNN, they were talking about how a CEO on Zoom fired 900 people. That's like the headlines everywhere I'm reading.
Yeah.
Just off Zoom, right? So how do you have, feedback conversations, performance conversations, or just you're having you have a project with someone, they're in another location and the project isn't going well. How do you have those types of conversations in a virtual setting? Any tips?
Oh yes. Well, that's really tricky. Yeah. We have a lot of a difficult conversation every day, but we have set the within ourselves, like we have set the rules that we need to be open. We cannot meet each other. We need to be open, but the purpose is just for helping each other to grow, right? Like if we don't grow, then we all die. Basically, that's the basic. And we learn from each other how we should talk properly, how we actually like give the feedback, how we actually, it's something that we learn along the way. And sometimes
So you
yeah,
do you ask, do you ask someone when, let's say, you're bringing them on as a new employee? Do you
yeah.
ask them things like, how should I give you feedback? How do you want to be reviewed? Do you ask those questions, or how do you know, the way to deliver it to them?
Oh yes, because everyone, yes, we ask them like, how do you solve the problem? Of course, we ask them, and then we give everybody opportunity to be part on the spotlight. So when, like in a master chef, when you put someone on the spotlight, becoming a team leader, then you know the strength of this person, right? Like how this person like tackle issue and how they solve the issue. And I mean like it's always like when we have problem like if it we started with the four eyes, like we try to talk about it, and then we also like usually like bring the third person if it doesn't achieve something that we want. This third person is like a neutral party, and then but I mean like I'm trying not to like be like like give straight away like what I want to do, because people will tend, okay, no, I don't want, I just want to follow you, right? Like it's better to like starting from different people like who, because we got a people who can really good in talking to people, and then like they are talking to me, and then we have a conversation together. That's sometimes even better. Yeah, it's not that that's something that I want to highlight before, like our company is not a hierarchical company, but it is like a more equal, even layered, like everybody kind of the same, have the same roles. But then in terms of communication, sometimes like it is more comfortable. For example, if I speak with you directly, then or maybe yeah, so we kind of like a pick who should speak to the person first.
Okay, cool. So I think we're like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Does anyone in the audience have any questions? Because I have my list, but I want to stop now and go to you. Do we have any questions for the last 2 minutes before we finish off with Eunice? Well, if they're typing, Eunice, I'll ask you. I'll ask you a quick one.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of you said a lot of your staff are grads. For those who are, getting their first job in this virtual teamwork space, and really not meeting their manager, probably won't be meeting their team members, and might be working from home, for a longer time. One or two tips to really kind of maybe give them some confidence or encouragement on how to really navigate that, for the first job, first real job, really.
Mm, yeah, I think back to what I mentioned before about communication. I think it is good to start with the over communicate, right? Like doesn't mean that we talk too much, but it's kind of like a, okay, this is what I have done. I would report, but it is not being nagging like a, oh, give me what to do, right? You need to be independent, and then proposing something, being proactive, and then you will be able to see slowly like the style of your leaders, style of the other people. I mean, like some, I know that some people they are quite shy, but I see from my experience, it is something that we can learn together. And especially with this virtual teamwork, you don't necessarily have to speak like on the spotlight like this. You can send an email, tell them like this is what I understand, this is what I have done, this is what I'm confused, how we can actually like solve this issue together, and then your current proposal is this, and is it the right thing or not? So that makes like a people like your leaders understand how you think, and then they will give you appropriate feedback.
And that's a good point. You know, if your strength is in writing, you can choose the writing approach. If your strength is in the verbal and over
Yeah.
a Zoom meeting, then use that. But then at least in this space, now we have an option of using both equally, and it's both okay, right? I think that's a really great point.
Yeah, and you can actually like for example myself, like I love to draw, so I draw and I put it on the on the Slack, and then let people like understand what it is sometimes.
All right, so visual drawings. Okay, perfect. I
Yeah.
like that. That's not my strength, so all power to you, Eunice. So that brings us really to the end, everyone, of our 30-minute lunch and learn, the skills gap conversation. Dr. Eunice, I want to say thank you so much for your time. And I
Thank
know you're
you,
running
Natasha.
2 businesses, so I know things are really busy for you. But I also wanted to say it was really great to learn from you in terms of virtual teamwork. For everyone, we're going to be sharing this recording just off our LinkedIn channels and off our emails. And we have one coming up every month. Thank you so much, everyone, and we'll see you on the
Thank
other side.
you.
Bye.
Yeah,
Thank
bye
you.
everyone. Yeah, yeah.